What happens when one of the biggest names in women's basketball crosses into a different sport and suddenly gets more spotlight there than she often does at home? That's the question Caitlin Clark handed the sports world at the RSM Classic. She didn't just show up for a charity hit and giggle, she became the headline. And the way fans, media, and two very different leagues reacted says a lot about where women's sports are right now and where they need to go next. If you're new to this, here's the short version. Caitlin Clark is coming off a rookie season in the WNBA unlike anything the league has experienced. She helped drive sellouts across the country, lifted national TV windows, and turned road nights into events. She also lived under a microscope from opening tip to her final dribble in July, hailed as a generational scorer one day, picked apart the next. That's what happens when you're the most visible player in the most visible year the WNBA has ever had. So, when Clark teed it up at the RSM Classic, she wasn't just another celebrity in a pro-am. She was a test case for crossover star power. Could a 22-year-old point guard known for logo threes and late-game poise step into golf, handle real expectations, and bring new fans with her? And what would her own league do with that moment? Let's start with the golf. Clark wasn't hiding on a quiet back nine. She played in a group that turned heads, including figures like Ryder Cup captain Zach Johnson and PGA Tour leadership. From the first tee shot, it was obvious this wasn't a photo op. She drove it out there 270 yards. She hit a few rough ones early, opening tee ball in the water, then did what she's built her name on: reset, adjust, and compete. That same competitive composure WNBA fans recognized showed up with a driver in her hands. When she needed a bounce-back moment, she found one. That's not a stat, that's a trait. Crowds followed her like it was a Sunday at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Kids lined up for autographs. Parents who only knew Caitlin Clark from social clips brought their daughters to watch her play golf. Teammates from other worlds asked for photos. It was family-friendly frenzy, and it wasn't manufactured. She did what stars do. She connected on the tee between shots, at the ropes. No crash course required. The golf world responded the way you'd hope. Ryder Cup voices talked about her competitiveness. PGA leadership used words like transcendent, not because she was chasing a tour card, but because she brought something sports need more of: gravity. Even veteran pros praised the way she handled the environment: calm, polite, competitive, and clearly not there for a vanity lap. Media coverage reflected that. Clips of long drives and long putts found their way to timelines that don't usually carry Thursday golf content. That's what cross-sport energy looks like when it's handled right. Here's where the story complicates. While the RSM Classic leaned in, some corners of the basketball conversation pulled back. There wasn't an immediate WNBA-wide amplification of what happened. No splashy posts from league accounts, no big push tying the event back to the sport that made her a star. A few vague comments circulated on social media, which fans interpreted as shade. It wasn't universal and it wasn't official, but it was loud enough to become part of the story. Is that jealousy? Is it frustration? Or is it just the modern attention economy, where one person's spotlight is misread as everyone else's shadow? It's probably some of each. The WNBA is full of elite competitors. Many of them had breakout years too. They want their names in lights and their teams in those prime windows. That's understandable. But it's also where leagues prove whether they're ready to grow or merely prepared to argue about growth. Clark's stay at the RSM Classic exposed a cultural split in women's sports right now. On one side, you had golf saying, "Come in, be yourself, attract your audience, we'll meet them with ours." On the other, you had pockets of women's basketball that felt uncomfortable with how much attention one player gets, even when that attention floats all boats. One reaction invited a crossover audience to stay. The other watched them leave. To be clear, not everyone in the WNBA rolled their eyes. Plenty of players and coaches have said out loud that Caitlin Clark's presence helped the league. Plenty of veterans recognized the rising tide in the record-setting windows of 2024 for what they were. And the league office did meaningful moves: charter travel across the schedule, better national windows, and a postseason that felt bigger. But the LPGA reminded us of something the W can't forget. Fan attention is a privilege. You win it by celebrating, not gatekeeping. The other misread in the discourse was about intent. Clark wasn't out there in Sea Island flexing on teammates or chasing clicks. She's a multi-sport kid who loves competing, who used golf as a mental break, and who knew she'd be dragging cameras wherever she went. Her post-round interviews made that clear. She said, "I'm here to enjoy myself and improve." She called golf a challenging but wonderful escape, thanked fans for showing up, and left it at that. No point scoring, No passive-aggressive jabs, just one athlete talking about another sport. That consistency is part of why her fan base keeps expanding. She doesn't snarl at the noise, she walks past it. Audiovisual audiences know the difference. They can spot manufactured beef from a mile away. They can also smell humility. That's been her brand since Iowa, and it's still paying dividends. What she did at RSM was bigger than 9 holes. She built a bridge. Golf fans who've never watched a WNBA regular season game suddenly knew she plays for the Indiana Fever. Parents who follow the Ryder Cup now know what a signature game at Gainbridge feels like. That's good for the WNBA, whether you want it to be or not. That's good for women's basketball, full stop. It pulls fresh eyes where the game needs them. And it brings back the fans who fell in love with Clark in college but haven't yet built a WNBA habit. So what went wrong on the basketball side? 2 things, and they're fixable. First, the league and its partners missed an easy amplification. A short congratulatory post, a behind-the-scenes feature tying the RSM Classic back to the Fever, a quick clip package celebrating crossover stars in women's sports. Clark, Asia Wilson throwing first pitches, Sabrina Ionescu at NBA All-Star, Skylar Diggins-Smith in brand campaigns. That's not cheerleading, that's programming. And it takes minutes, not months. Second, the conversation around "stay in your lane" needs to go away. It's bad business. The sports media economy is built on stars who transcend lanes. Serena had fashion, Naomi had activism, Simone had brand building and mentorship. Sue and Diana turned personality into longevity. Asia Wilson launched a media company to tell player stories. Caitlin Clark can be a point guard and a proven draw in golf. Those things don't detract, they multiply. Some of the frustration came from a real place, a belief that the WNBA still struggles to market its own effectively. That's changing, but not fast enough. The league can do 2 things at once: celebrate the rising talent across 12 teams and ride a transcendent moment for all it's worth. If the LPGA can figure that out in a week, there's no good reason that W can't implement it across a season. The fan response told the story. Golf fans flooded comment sections with praise, talking about her calmness, her charisma, the way she handled the crowd. WNBA fans split, with some applauding the exposure and others arguing she's overshadowing teammates. That split is the tall poppy syndrome at work. Cut down anyone who grows too fast, too tall. It's human, it's also how you stall momentum. If you watched Clark at the RSM Classic, you saw none of that energy from her. You saw a young star enjoying the day, grinding through the hard shots, laughing at the misses, and signing until her wrist cramped. You saw a room of kids who now know the Indiana Fever exist. You saw a pro sports commissioner use the word transcendent, not because of a swing plane, but because of presence. You saw golf legends, Zach Johnson and others, talk about her humility being a strength. That's leadership language. The WNBA wants leaders. Here is one. What does this mean for the league heading into 2025? Opportunity, if the W chooses it. Lean into crossover. Build windows around events where your stars touch other sports. If Clark plays a Pro-Am, put an Indiana content team on site. If Asia appears at a Raiders game, set up a mini-doc with Vegas fans who watch both teams. If Sabrina goes back to Oregon for a jersey retirement, make it a WNY broadcast special. Connect the dots for casuals. You're not ceding ground, you're planting flags.
Protect the players while you elevate them. Clark's rookie year was the most physical introduction to the league any #1 pick has faced in years. The league did address some of the ugliest moments, but it often felt reactive. Set the tone early next season. Clarify what's good physical defense and what crosses the line. Protect everyone, not just one player, and the product gets better. Fans notice fairness more than they notice fines. Market the league like it's already as big as the numbers say it's becoming. Attendance rose, viewership rose, social engagement spiked. This isn't theoretical anymore. Build individual first campaigns. WNBA players by name, not just jerseys by team. Showcase rivalries without turning them toxic. And when a player turns a Thursday in Sea Island into a trending topic, say thank you by giving fans the next thing to watch on Sunday. What about Caitlin's role in all this? She's going to keep doing what she just did. Compete, share the moment, walk past the noise. She didn't ask to be the whole story. The story found her. She can't control every reaction. She can control the standard in her own house. If you're a Fever fan, that should be your focus. How do you build around a franchise point guard whose gravity is bigger than basketball? You add shooting so defenses can't collapse. You add length on the wing so she doesn't have to win every possession against size. You add vets who've been through W playoff series and know the shortcuts. Indiana started that process in 2024. It needs to accelerate in 2025. Is there a future for Clark in golf? As a competitor, she has too much left to do in the W to chase anything serious with another sport. But as a guest, a crossover headline, a vehicle for growth? Absolutely. Pro-Ams exist for exactly this reason. They put different audiences in the same place and let talent and personality do the rest. If Caitlin Clark can fill the rope line on a Thursday, the LPGA would be smart to invite her again. And the WNBA would be smart to put a camera on both. Here's what matters most. None of this works if you treat one athlete as a threat. The LPGA proved that. They rolled out a carpet and let a basketball player be the headline for a day. No one lost, everyone gained. That's the equation that should guide the WNBA through its next leap. Respect the individual, celebrate the collective, and be big enough to hold both at once. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for this argument. She created a moment. The RSM Classic gave it a stage. Golf fans embraced it. Some in basketball fumbled it. The lesson isn't that one sport cares and the other doesn't. The lesson is that whoever welcomes the audience wins the audience. So here's the ask for WNBA fans who want the league to keep rising. Demand the programming your stars deserve. Push for consistency in how players are protected and promoted. And don't fall for the trap that says celebrating one teammate means ignoring another. That isn't true in a locker room, it isn't true in a market, it's only true if you believe scarcity is your story. It doesn't have to be. Caitlin Clark is going to keep taking long shots, on the court and occasionally from a fairway. If you're in Indiana, you want that edge when the Fever tip next year. If you're in the WNBA office, you want that edge in every national window you can schedule. If you're a sponsor talking about elevating women's sports, here's your blueprint. Elevate them where they already are and open doors to everywhere else. What did you see at the RSM Classic? A distraction or a demonstration? If you saw a young athlete competing with joy and pulling people into her sport by being herself, you saw what the WNBA should be selling every night from May to September. If you saw anything else, check the tape. Drop your thoughts below. Should the league have amplified Clark's crossover moment? What would you build around the Fever to translate attention into wins in 2025? And do you want to see more WNBA to LPGA and NWSL to WNBA crossovers on the calendar? We'll keep tracking every move, from Indiana's offseason to programming decisions to the next time a WNBA star shows up in another sport and turns a weekday into a wave.